The sun was sinking behind the Montana hills when a young girl, her dress torn and face streaked with dust, stumbled into the yard of a lonely cabin. The mountain man, a rugged settler named Eli Turner, had spent years alone in those high woods, his only company the wind and his rifle. But when he saw the trembling girl clutching her small hands together, his heart froze. "Sir, they're beating my mama," she gasped between sobs. "Please, they say she's Chinese, and doesn't belong here." Eli knelt down, his rough hands surprisingly gentle as he steadied her shoulders. "Where is she?" he asked, his voice low but dangerous. The girl pointed down the valley, toward the small settlement by the creek. Without another word, Eli grabbed his rifle, threw on his coat, and swung up onto his horse. The girl climbed behind him, holding on tight as they thundered toward the town. When they arrived, Eli saw the flames of a lantern flickering around a small cabin. A group of settlers, men he knew by face, were shouting and pushing a woman to the ground. Her dark hair was tangled, her face bloodied, her hands tied. The settlers spat at her, calling her names, accusing her of stealing, of being a foreigner. Eli's fury rose like wildfire. He rode straight into the crowd, his voice booming like thunder. "That's enough," he shouted. The men stopped, startled by the sight of him, tall, broad, and with eyes that could strike fear into anyone who met them. "Eli," one of them said nervously, "she don't belong here." She's human," Eli cut him off sharply, his rifle pointing at the man's chest. "And she's under my protection now." The silence that followed was thick as mountain fog. Slowly, the men backed away, muttering curses but not daring to fight him. Eli dismounted, knelt beside the woman, and untied her wrists. Her eyes met his, eyes filled with pain, shame, and something deeper, a flicker of hope. He carried her to his horse while the little girl followed, clutching her mother's torn shawl. As they rode back toward the mountains, the woman's head rested weakly against Eli's shoulder. At his cabin, he tended to her wounds carefully. Days passed before she could even speak. Her name was Mei Lin, and she had come to America with her husband years ago, chasing dreams of freedom. But when her husband died in a mining accident, the settlers turned on her and her daughter, blaming them for their misfortunes. Eli listened in silence, his heart heavy. He had always believed that the wilderness made men hard, but it had also taught him right from wrong. And he knew no person deserved what Mei Lin had suffered. As weeks turned into months, Mei Lin regained her strength. She helped around the cabin, cooking meals, mending clothes, and teaching her daughter to read by the fire. Eli, who once lived in silence, now found himself listening to laughter echoing through the pine trees. The townsfolk whispered when they saw Eli come to market with Mei Lin and her child, but he didn't care. He stood taller than ever, proud to protect the family he'd found in the mountains. One evening, as snow began to fall outside, Mei Lin looked at him and said softly, "You saved us when no one else would." Eli smiled faintly. "No," he said, "you saved me too." The world around them might have been cruel, but in that quiet cabin, high among the peaks, a wounded mother, her brave daughter, and a lonely mountain man built something stronger than hate, something that could only be called love.